Hello everybody, welcome back to another video on the ChaddyTheChump channel, and today we are going to be talking about the highly anticipated Magnificent 7 Queensborough show taking place this weekend at the Co-op Live in Manchester, and it is headlined by Frank Warren's Starboy, Moses Itauma, and he is taking on Jermaine Franklin in a very sort of, well, his biggest test so far for sure, and a fight that people are sort of mixed on, and I'm going to be giving my opinions on it today, as well as the magnificent undercard. And yeah, so let's get right into it. Alright, we'll talk about the main event first, which is Moses Itauma versus Jermaine Franklin. Now, this fight originally scheduled for January 24th, the whole card got moved to March 28th because of Moses Itauma pulling out, right? I'm very surprised on how this event is done, right, because it is going to be sold out on the night, a full arena, which, you know, holds, 20,000, so they'll probably be around that on the night, which is a lot to see Moses Itauma, but this guy has so much hype. He is easily the biggest prospect in world boxing, because for sure, right, and there's some very good prospects, but he is the top guy because he's just knocked out everyone in his path. There has been no error from him. There has been, nothing that suggests he's not going to go and win world titles and possibly become undisputed. However, this fight is definitely his biggest test so far. Why? Well, he's taking on Jermaine Franklin, and Jermaine Franklin is basically the sort of, he's like the bodyguard when you want to go into a club. He's the guy who's like, you gotta get past me first and then you can go to these, big fights. And as well as that, he's a good guy to give you rounds, and that's the whole point of this fight, to give Moses Itauma rounds. And I feel like, could Jermaine Franklin give him rounds? Yes, for sure. Some people don't think so. Some people think that Itauma will knock him out quick, as, Itauma did to Dillian Whyte. But Franklin's got a chin. Franklin went all the way with Anthony Joshua. A lot of people say he beat Dillian Whyte, a much better Dillian Whyte than Moses Itauma fought. Not a prime Dillian Whyte, but still a very, very good Dillian Whyte. And, Franklin is not a bad fighter, right? He is a solid fighter. But he's not a guy who's going to win world titles. But he is a guy who could take a fighter who usually gets knockouts to decisions. So I think that this is a very, very good test, because finally Itauma should get rounds on his record, and I'm glad of that, because we haven't seen much of Itauma, right? All we've seen is him dismantling his opponents one by one, and they're not really being a 50-50 fight that he's had so far. And this isn't 50-50, but it will take him rounds. We'll see what, skills Itauma has, what Itauma can implement into his game other than just, knocking the opponent out, which is what you want to do. Now, if Itauma does knock Franklin out, as he's done with all his opponents, very quick, then, well, we know he's very good, but also you should now take him into bigger fights. I mean, there's a chance that he just gets a world title shot by your governing body straight away, or a number one ranking, or, an eliminator, maybe a mandatory, maybe even interim belt. Who knows if Usyk vacates, because he's destroying, and belt organisations probably want him holding it. But if he does win, there's a lot of options you could give him. You could give him guys like Hrgovic, possibly, because that's a good test. But you know, let's not talk about that because we have not yet seen him fight Franklin and see how well he does against Franklin. But if he does, then we know he's big, and we're going to talk about that after the fight. But of course, do I think Itauma will beat Jermaine Franklin? Yes. Could Franklin give him some rounds? You're stupid to think not. Could he take him all the way to decision? There's a possibility. And if he does, I feel like Itauma will still win. But if he does, maybe Itauma isn't as good as everyone thinks he is. I guess we'll have to find out. But let's talk about the rest of this pretty stacked fight card. Okay, now let's talk about the co-main event. Willie Hutchinson taking on Ezra Taylor. Now this is a very good co-main event, something that was brewing. The reason this fight is even taking place in the first place is because of what happened at the Lights Out event back in November, and they had a bit of an altercation in the co-op live, and now they're actually fighting in the co-op live, so that's pretty fitting. In terms of the actual fight, good fight, and it's possible where the winner goes on for a world title shot. Now, maybe not, right? Who knows? But the winner's going to go far. The loser, you know, there's going to be a lot coming back. Of course, Ezra Taylor undefeated. Willie Hutchinson has lost to the likes of Joshua Buatsi, but he's still a very solid fighter. This should be a good scrap. Now, I feel like Ezra probably the favourite going into this fight. However, we don't fully know how good Ezra Taylor is. This is definitely his toughest test. And in terms of Hutchinson, we kind of know what level he's at. Not quite at that elite light heavyweight, but definitely, definitely a top 10 light heavyweight fighter. I'd guess so. And Ezra, if he gets this win, then he will definitely move on to bigger fights. But can he get past Hutchinson? I do think so. I do. However, the Hutch train could provide a bit of an upset, although I do think it's a 50-50 fight. It is a close fight. It is. I will go with Ezra Taylor, but I won't be surprised if Hutchinson takes the victory. Also on this undercard, the vacant European featherweight title is on the line as Liam Davies takes on Francesco Grandelli. Now, this fight originally meant to be Zach Miller versus Liam Davies, so a bit disappointed because that would have been a good fight. Zach Miller from Manchester, it would have been much better, but this is still a good fight for the European title. Big opportunity for Liam Davies, and I think he has a good chance at getting the victory. This Grandelli, he's alright. He's took losses though. He's lost to the likes of Nathaniel Collins. He's beatable for sure, and Liam Davies, a big opportunity, and hopefully in the future we can see that Zach Miller fight happen, but my prediction is for Liam Davies to get the victory. Another fight on this undercard, big time ticket seller Nathan Heaney taking on Jerome Warbuton. Another great fight. Heaney, of course, known for that fan base that he has, and he wins this fight, and he wins a few, and he could be a serious name in boxing, fighting in football stadiums because of his, you know, fan base and what he's got. And obviously when Itauma pulled out, that was disappointing for him, but there'll be like 2,000 strong heading there just for Nathan Heaney. So this guy, big name, Jerome Warbuton, beatable fighter, so I do think Nathan Heaney will get the victory, and a few more fights he could be fighting in that big time stadium show. So yeah, I guess we'll have to see. And then the rest of this card includes fighters like Alex Murphy, who's from, you know, Manchester and also has a good fan base, as well as Billy Dennis and guys like that. These cards are really great for building up Manchester fighters, and I do like these cards very much. of course, me being from the area, and of course attending co-op live shows a lot, just like this one right here, Wardley Dubois, which is another absolute belter by Queensberry Promotions that is coming up. You know, there's big things coming, right, especially for Manchester and the great arena that is the Co-op Live. So that is a big show coming up this Saturday. I'm so excited to watch it. And let me know your thoughts and your predictions on this card, because it's a cracker. Could we see some upsets? Potentially. The main event, what an upset that would be if Franklin somehow managed to beat Itauma and shock the world. I guess we'll see. But thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Enjoy the show. Goodbye.